Hello, friends. Today's episode is truly one of my favorites of all time. I had a lovely conversation with Damon, my rep from CellCore. CellCore is an incredible supplement company. It has changed my life. It's changed my patients' lives. It has changed my dogs' lives. So if you are looking for the root cause of any health concern, you need to watch this episode because we get nerdy, we dive in, and we uncover some of those root triggers. And of course, we help you figure out how to fix them.
Hi, Damon.
Hello.
I am so happy to have you on.
I'm excited to be here. This is really great.
It's going to be a disturbing conversation.
Uh-oh.
I know.
I like disturbing conversations.
Me too. That is exactly why you are here, my friend.
And I wouldn't expect anything less from Dr. Ashley.
You know.
You have a reputation.
Do I?
That's good. That's very
Tell me of this reputation.
No, I hear a lot of great things about you. And that's why I like to hang out with you.
You know, I like to hang out with you as well. And I am grateful for this reputation because I will never not share these ridiculous stories. And I will never not be myself in sharing them because the whole reason you are here is because you have changed my life in that you are my sales local rep for CellCore, which is this incredible company of nutraceuticals, of supplements, of things that have truly changed my life, my patient's life. So I always start out by dropping a love bomb. And this love bomb is, of course, for you and the way that you allow me to show up to our meetings, just saying whatever I need to say, always being open to help me, but also just for CellCore itself and for what it is doing to the health of myself, the health of my patients, the health of my dogs. Ugh.
I'm very thankful for it too. I personally took a big pay cut to come with the company because I believed in the vision and the leadership and the integrity. So, and I've seen that firsthand and it's really great. And it was the best decision I've ever made.
I love that. And honestly, I don't even know the founders of the company. I don't know them personally. I've never met them. You are the face of CellCore.
Yes.
But you can tell just from the way that they show up in that they do free webinars and they're so big on educating and empowering. And I can imagine that that's a really good group of individuals to work with.
They believe in giving away the most information of any company out there, health-wise. So, and in that, of course, it sells our products too, but that's secondary to their reasoning. So really
I think
cool.
the products almost sell themselves.
Yeah, they do. A lot of patients ask for them, and that's how we get new accounts on board with, because I work with just doctors, right? So I don't get to work with the general public, but general public will ask for them because they've heard or seen them work in someone else's life, and that's where they'll come to someone like yourself that's not currently using CellCore, and they say, hey, I've heard about this CellCore company, and then you'll give me a call.
Yes.
And that's sometimes how it works.
Amazing. And my listeners know a little bit. You know a lot about me because I share everything with you when we're together. But I have a significant history of quite a few things. I haven't even tested myself for chronic infections. I was born and raised in New York in the mountains. I've been covered with ticks from head to toe because I had my pets sleeping in my bed.
Yep.
Truly growing up in the mountains, walked around barefoot, rolled around the dirt, you know, what kids would do before they had iPhones and stuff. And
Lived.
Yeah, lived, played. I've traveled the world. I've gotten food poisoning on every continent outside of Antarctica. And I have done so many things to try to get my body back into balance. And even when I was in medical school, no one even pointed out to me, the doctors that I would see, that it could be a toxic exposure. It could be parasites. It could be a chronic infection. Not one of them said that. They just blamed it on my vegan diet, which probably wasn't helping. But once I started learning more about the body, it made me realize, oh, this could be an infection. It could be an exposure. And I took so many supplements that I'm not going to name because honestly, they didn't work. And it wasn't until I started taking CellCore that immediately things started to shift for me.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible product line. And you know, our founders, that's what they discovered was that most disease and sickness comes from an exposure to a toxin or a pathogen, right? or parasite. That's what we like to say around here, right? We'll talk a little bit about that.
Oh, we're going to talk a lot about it. Right? Yes, we are.
But yeah, that's not what you hear of going to your local doctor, your allopathic doctor. It's usually like, oh, here's a take this drug.
Yeah.
They don't want to get to the root cause of what's causing your symptoms, what's causing your problems. And one of the things that drives me crazy, probably like you, is you hear, oh, that's common, and or that's normal. Sorry, I meant that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Because it's normal doesn't mean it's common or should be allowed. Just because it's happening to a bunch of people, it just shows how sick we are as a society, right? So just because your doctor's like, oh, that's normal, don't worry, headaches once a week, oh, everyone gets those. No, it's not normal. You shouldn't have to live like that.
No.
You shouldn't have to live with eczema and skin issues every day, right? That's normal. Oh, your child having those issues is normal. No, it's not.
It's not.
It may be common, but it's not normal. So let's get to the root cause of what's causing that and remove that and get you onto a better life.
Yeah. I so appreciate you saying that because I couldn't agree more. And we are such a sick population. I think we're one of the sickest countries in the world. And something that I see a lot of too is that I educate my community on this stuff. My community has been with me on this whole journey. They know a lot about what has come out of my body, what I've been exposed to, all of it. And then they might go to their doctor if they don't work with me directly and they'll say, ooh, I think I might have a parasite, or I think I might be exposed to X, Y, or Z. And they go, no, not here, not in this country. We're too clean.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you knew this, but parasites can't cross from Tijuana into San Diego. We have a border there.
There's a border, so they can't
parasites
come.
will not cross that border.
I'm happy I got that joke because a lot of jokes go way over my head. But
that's how we treat it, right?
Yeah.
Be careful with the ice in Tijuana. But here in San Diego, we're so close.
yeah,
But here we don't think about it. We don't think about when we eat sushi, when we walk on the grass barefoot, when we swim. People don't think about that. You swim in that ocean, or you swim even in a lake or a river. Unless you're swimming in your pool, you're probably being exposed to a lot of parasites.
I agree. And the people that I work with a lot of the time, I have a lot of patients that have a fear. I don't know why this is something, but they have a fear of getting a brain amoeba.
Oh gosh.
But they don't realize that you can get so much more in the water. That is not a brain amoeba. You can truly get a parasite from all those things that you just listed. And here in San Diego, I know so many fishermen. I know so many people that spearfish. I know so many surfers, and they are exposed to so much because the water is a solvent and it holds life, and sick things like to stay together, and they really like to enter the human body and take hold.
That's absolutely correct. In fact, what our founder, who is called in the community, he's called the parasite doctor, or the doctor's doctor, but he's done a lot of studying parasites, and he says if you have a pulse, you have parasites. So, and he even says we're not trying to eliminate every parasite because you're not going to get there. You're just trying to lower that pathogenic load so your body can, overcome it. Your immune system can fight it, and that's really where you're trying to get to.
Yeah.
But parasites are a Trojan horse. If you go into, even go into PubMed, right? You can Google PubMed, jump on there and Google or put in parasites, and all this research will come up. Like they're packed full of heavy metals, toxins, environmental toxins, other pathogens, mold or mycotoxins from mold. They're just packed full of all this junk, and if you can just imagine them secreting this into your body constantly, no wonder why you can't get better when you're going on a diet or taking this supplement or that supplement, because you're not addressing the root cause, and that's that parasitic infection, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then even to dig an inch deeper below that, the parasites are in the body, of course, from exposure, but it's a sick body that allows a parasite to take hold.
Exactly.
So those exposures, the heavy metals, the mold, all the environmental toxins, even chronic infections with, mono, things like that, they create a cellular environment in which it's easy for these parasites to hide from the immune system and take hold.
Then that makes it that much tougher to get rid of them, right? So you're right on. And what do we have out here? Mold's a big issue, right? So you went on that journey.
I did.
And that mold will lower your immune system, and all of a sudden now parasites that might not have been a problem now are a problem in your body.
Yep, I was filled to the brim. Filled to the brim with them. And it's not funny, but it's funny in that I was parasite cleansing with the Parakit I was parasite cleansing with the Parakit, let me just say, after 2 years of doing antimicrobial work with herbs, with top of the line medical grade supplements, and my symptoms never went away. I didn't know that I was living in a moldy house at the time, but the way that I found that out was that I was parasite cleansing. Things were leaving my body. I was starting to see shifts, but there was no end in sight. And I actually reached out to someone that works with your company who reached out to Dr. Jess, which most people know Dr. Jess, and she goes, she either has breast implants, I don't. She's exposed to heavy metals, probably, or she's living in mold. And that's what allowed me to, the universe works in mysterious ways.
Yeah.
I learned that, and then maybe a week later in my bathroom, a piece of paint fell off and it was just black behind it.
Oh gosh.
I had no idea. I didn't smell it. I'm a doctor.
Yeah.
I don't know. I missed it completely, but I am so grateful for that knowledge because the parasites were, like you said, the Trojan horse, but also they helped me understand that I was living in a sick environment and that my internal world was allowing them to come in.
Yeah, it's and that's kind of where CellCore comes in, right? We believe not just in throwing products at it, because a lot of times in the nutraceutical world or the holistic world, we do just like allopathic medicine. It's like this issue, this supplement. Well, that's not necessarily the right way to do it. It's the right supplement at the right time. Understanding how the body drains, understanding how the body works, and if you do it in a specific order, you can actually affect whole body change. You can remove toxins where toxins normally wouldn't be able to be removed because something's blocking it or you're not opening up a certain drainage pathway. So that's the important part, is drainage, right?
Yes.
Which, you know,
I do.
Very, very important to have that drainage before parasite cleansing. So people hear this and they go, oh, I need to get some parasite cleansing done. And they just start taking antiparasitics. Well, guess what happens? You get sicker.
Yeah.
And you have more issues.
Correct.
You have those detox reactions, right? So it's just opening up those drainage pathways, making sure you're going poop at least once or twice a day.
Thank you, Damon. Thank you.
That's the best way to eliminate toxins, right? So, and most people don't realize that. They think, again, oh, it's normal that you just poop once a week.
I know. I can't even tell you how many of my patients told me that they think it's normal or that's been happening their whole life. And I'm a very animated person. So I'll have a patient tell me they poop once every 2 weeks. My face does this. They're like, that's not normal. And I go, no, 2 to 3 times a day. That's essential. That's a foundational step for me before I think of going deeper in anyone's body. And I think for me, when I was doing that maybe 2, 3, 4 year long antimicrobial detox that did nothing, like I was candida cleansing, I cut out sugar, I was eating nothing, I was miserable, so mad, nothing happened. But what I do think happened is that the herbs I was taking did start to break down the biofilms, and they were all, you know, liver loving herbs, kidney loving herbs. So my drainage pathways open. So still they were a really big part of my journey. And also I was teaching hot yoga. So I was sweating so much. And I also think that's why I didn't appear as sick as someone who doesn't have their drainage pathways open, because my sweet body is amazing and she was doing a great job at trying to keep me as healthy as possible. But if I wasn't doing those things, if I wasn't pooping, I would have been, I know I would have been so sick. Yeah.
And that's what, you know, symptoms aren't bad if you're draining, right? If things are working and you're moving things along, our products are very powerful. So a lot of people like, oh, I got eczema, so I stopped. No, you need to up your drainage, right?
Yes.
So people don't get that. They think symptoms are bad, but they're not necessarily bad. And a lot of those clear up. Like our doctor, the parasite guy, Dr. Todd Watts, he's seen links to parasites in like dairy allergies, like people with allergies, we see clear up because you're getting rid of the parasites and you're fixing that gut. And now all of a sudden you can, like for myself, it was gluten. So I could, if I ate gluten, my face would turn red. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. You know, you're just, I'm a guy. I'm like, I'm drinking my beer thinking everything's cool, right? And all of a sudden my face is red and scabby. And I didn't realize that what was causing it. And my sister is a holistic dietitian. She's like, you need to be off gluten. And I was just like, what a miserable life. And I did it. I did it for a long time. But then introducing CellCore, now all of a sudden I would cheat here and there and I wouldn't get this eczema or these skin issues anymore. And I was shocked. It doesn't mean you should eat gluten, right? You should, try to be as clean as possible.
Yes.
What is, my sister says, don't mop the floor, clean up your body wearing dirty boots. So eating bad. So But
Yes.
she's like, you can still mop the floor with dirty boots. It's just not going to be as effective. So if you can clean up both, obviously that's the best way. But I cheat. I mean, I'm
You're human. You're a human.
I like to enjoy food.
I support you enjoying food. And just to be a little nerdy about why that happens. So parasites, they upregulate the Th2 pathway.
Here we go.
I know. They upregulate the Th2 pathway of the immune system. So there's certain ways that the army, that is your immune system, targets different pathogens, and Th2 is classic for parasites and allergies. So for me as a clinician, when I get labs back and if I see elevated IgE and elevated the cells that are helping contribute that, which would be either basophils or eosinophils, I think, okay, does this person have significant allergies? Because some of them do.
Yeah.
And then I say, okay, it might be an allergy, but a lot of people I work with are like, no, I don't have allergies. None of the classic symptoms they have, and it's because they are loaded with parasites. And what this does, this Th2 arm of the immune system, is it upregulates histamine. So all histamine symptoms can become loud. So skin issues, allergies, rashes, headaches.
What we see.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's that connection there.
And there's the science behind it.
And there is the science behind it, immunology. So I love that you talked about drainage, and I want to talk about how drainage is not only the organs of elimination, which I've done an episode on. So if you did not watch it, you should watch it. But, they're the skin, the liver, when the liver is pushing things out through the bowels, through
The
bile.
sauna. Use the sauna.
Use the sauna for the skin, the lymphatic system, but also you have to drain the cells themselves. Because
Exactly.
it's almost like your cells are making their own waste, and that's what goes into the lymph. The lymph is then trying to drain, and if that's backed up, it comes out in other ways. So,
Do you want to get into cell danger response?
Please tell me. Yeah.
So cell danger response, most people know is, this is new in the medical community. I think is still behind the times on this, but this is about 10 years ago. The research really was coming out here.
Well, is there a drug for it? Because if not, then you weren't
There's
educated
not.
on it.
That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here in San Diego, Scripps Research is where it started on the mitochondria. I believe it was specifically the mitochondria, but basically everyone's heard fight or flight. So your body can either be fighting or flighting, right? Well, take that down to a different level. Sorry. Take that down to a different level, and basically your body can be in repair mode or what I like to call battleship mode. So your body's either fighting or on the cellular level or in repair mode. The cells cannot do both. So if you can get your body out of that fight mode, your body can repair itself. It's amazing. It's amazing organ. The human body's amazing. It can really repair itself. So the goal is to get yourself out of that cell danger response. Now, typically if you get sick or something happens, you're supposed to cycle through that very quickly. I mean, my understanding is a matter of days or even hours, right?
Yeah.
But if you get stuck at one of those, you can be stuck in cell danger response 1, 2, or 3 for years and years. And that's where your chronic diseases and your different things like that come from. So that's where CellCore kind of comes in. We understood that, and we're like, well, how can we get the body out of cell danger response? And that's getting the toxins out of the cells at the cellular level, draining the cells at the cellular level, draining the mitochondria. Like you're upregulating that mitochondria functioning, getting those mitochondria to work properly, and now all of a sudden the body just kind of settles down, so to speak, and now you're repairing. You're in full-on repair mode. And that's where, cellular drainage is very important. And so you need most products out there. So let's talk about products that people take, right?
Yeah, please.
Because most products are, as you know, are junk. Most people won't eat at McDonald's every day, but they'll buy their supplements at Costco or Walmart, right?
Yes.
And you're literally... Can I say this? You're pissing out your money.
Oh, I say fuck all the time on this, so please, nothing is filtered on here.
So you're literally pissing out your money.
Yeah.
So if you're fortunate, you'll absorb 10% of that. Fortunate. A really good supplement, maybe you get 20%. Our supplements, we've seen up to 100%. And we don't necessarily always push for 100% because we want it to stop in the gut to repair the gut and work on the gut. But we can get 100% absorption rate. And that's because two things: size and energy. Our products have the size, naturally nano size. I know that's a scary word. People think nano, they think the little machines going through your body, or our most recent COVID experience, right?
We're not talking about that.
But we the nano size can be, we have this negative connotation to nano, but naturally pulling from the earth, you can have these naturally nano-sized molecules, and those can go intercellular, from cell to cell, inside the cell, and even into the mitochondria. And if you have the energy to push those through that, which is this where we get controversial, because how a lot of people are taught is that low pH is very bad. Now, this is true.
Yeah.
Low pH is bad in the body, but low pH in a supplement is very vital, because it gives that supplement the energy to go intercellular and go from cell to cell, mitochondria, pull out those toxins and get the cells functioning how they're supposed to, and pull out anything bad, put in the good, so to speak, right?
Yes.
So that's where our products are so good, is that they're really the only products out there using the humic and fulvic acids, polyelectrolytes, polysaccharides in that way, using them with a lot of energy and naturally nano size. So you can pull, a lot of companies sell humic and fulvics and they're not the same. You know, if you don't have the energy behind them, there's some effective products out there. They're just not as effective as they can be.
Yeah.
You know, when you have 1,000,000 times more energy than another product, you can only imagine how much better that will be going intercellular. So that's kind of where we are different.
And I could feel the difference. My patients can feel the difference. And I'm so happy that you got nerdy and went into that cellular process, because I don't think that a lot of my listeners are aware that there is not one law in this country that says that what is on the label of a bottle is what is inside of the capsule. There's not one law. The FDA does not regulate it. And in case you didn't know, the FDA does not give a fuck about you. So,
They don't?
Oh no, Damon! Sorry to bust that bubble for you.
You mean Splenda's not healthy?
No, it's not.
Because it's FDA approved.
It is FDA approved. I think Lucky Charms are very healthy, but
Oh yeah, they were on that list.
Exactly. They're on there. But it's really nice, as someone that is very invested in the healing process and that has seen people's healing journeys. I've seen miracles occur, or things that modern medicine have said can't happen.
That can't happen.
Yeah, and it's all because of the products and the energy in them, and also working for a company where the founders actually believe in their products. They take their products, they're invested in it. It's helped them, and you could tell the difference because it's truly infused into everything that they do. And even at the cellular level, I'm not sure if many people are aware that mold it's so small, it can enter your cells. It can cross any barrier in your body. Heavy metals, it's just a single unit. It's very small. It can move throughout your body. So they're not just staying in your blood. They're not just staying in your sinuses. They're moving everywhere. They ultimately get to the cell. Think about how many people that you probably even know, well, maybe not because you've introduced them to all these supplements, but that are just exhausted and they accept that that's
so
normal.
So normal, right?
So normal.
That's what people call normal, is not having energy. How is that normal?
You shouldn't need coffee to start your day.
No, you shouldn't.
You should not. You should be able to wake up and feel good. And if you don't, you need to look deeper. You need to ask yourself, why are my mitochondria not producing energy? And it could be because they're very toxic. And also something that I see, just a little clinical pearl, if any of you doctors are watching this, or medical students, is that I have found that almost all patients that have come to me with the diagnosis of fibromyalgia have either severe heavy metal or a severe mold toxicity. And then of course the parasites come with it, but those are usually the root.
Yep. Of course, yeah. That's not to get even more nerdy, since you brought up heavy metals, we got to talk about heavy metals and CellCore, just because it's a question that comes up, so we have to do the little label here.
Oh, please actually say that, because I don't want to receive any more messages from you saying that I'm poisoning you with the supplements. So please,
just so your listeners know,
please.
We'll get into this with what CellCore is made from. It's actually pulled from the earth. It's broken down plant and animal material, right? And it's comprised mainly of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, which of course what our body's comprised of is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen mainly. So you're building back your body with what your body's made from. So, you're not going to repair a metal bridge with wood. I hope not.
Yeah.
So you want to repair your body with what your body's made up of. So in that aspect, our products naturally have heavy metals in them. because there's heavy metals in food. As you've probably explained to your listeners before, there are heavy metals in food, but there's a difference between organic and inorganic and how your body will use that. An inorganic form of heavy metals could be very toxic. In organic form, your body can decide what it wants to do with it. Get rid of it, use it, whatever, right? So one thing that makes CellCore again different is that our products can actually turn a inorganic heavy metal into an organic heavy metal by exchanging molecules, so I don't know exactly the science behind that we have a science guy who's very smart and can explain that. But
he is very smart. I've watched him speak. Yes, about it.
He's we say instead of ask Google, ask Tim.
Ask Tim.
Because he's very brilliant man. And he can, for people like me, he can dumb it down.
Well, you do a great job at explaining it. Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what's again why CellCore is a little bit different and why we use heavy metals to remove heavy metals. People don't get that concept, but that's how the body works, right? And how our products work is we'll use heavy metals to attract and remove heavy metals from the body. So,
and I love how you brought up that it's from the earth.
Yeah.
It is, these things are naturally in the earth. What is not natural in the earth are these radioactive elements that are used in, nuclear warfare and weird types of agriculture and different types of buildings, and all the weird things that humans have done that make us advanced are actually slowly killing us. But everything from the earth, that is what our body knows. It's what our immune system knows. Our immune system doesn't know all of this foreign stuff.
Yeah.
So anything that the immune system is not aware of, it will go on overdrive. It'll create an army around it and create inflammation, and inflammation equals symptoms in your entire
glyphosate?
system. Oh, like glyphosate. Yeah, healthy. It's not a big deal.
Good old Roundup.
Good old Roundup.
It can't be bad. It was.
Yeah.
It's made in a lab.
It's made in a lab. That sounds so safe. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's great that you brought up the radioactive elements, because what did we have? The Fukushima.
It's still leaking.
Yeah, it's still leaking. And where's the ocean come? Right across to California.
But
Thank
California is so nice.
you. Yeah, exactly.
Can't happen here.
And you probably see that a lot with your patients.
Yeah, I do toxic load testing on a handful of my patients. I mean, I usually start with blood work, see what's there. But if they have something that, if I know just based on their history, what they're telling me, their symptoms, that they have an exposure, I'm going to already start this process. But if not, then we test. And I have actually never tested someone that didn't have glyphosate in their urine, even if they are as health conscious as possible, if they're not trying to be exposed in any way, just because it's abundant in our environment. And I think that's something that is also important for the listeners to know, and that you could be doing everything right, but the earth itself is a little sick right now. So regardless, we need to be mindful of these exposures.
I've heard they've found remote villagers with glyphosate in them. That's very heartbreaking. Well, we dump 5 or 6 billion tons of it every year.
I try to not know these things, but that's actually disgusting. Yeah.
And it gets into your joints. And interesting fact. So this was something that Dr. Todd talked about is people don't realize. So why are animals tearing like ligaments running on the grass? Why are people tearing ligaments like just running or walking or doing this? And could it be glyphosate? Because glyphosate actually will get into the ligaments and act as basically loosening the bindings. From what Dr. Todd has found. So interestingly enough, it makes sense if you think of like why do dogs tear ligaments? Like
I don't know. They're angels. Nothing bad should happen to them ever.
No, nothing.
Yeah, nothing.
And they don't deserve it.
No.
Right? And it's not like they're lifting heavy or like doing anything different.
They're just being cute, digging holes.
So the number one group to have non-contact sports injuries, do you know what it is? It's pretty interesting.
Contact sports injuries.
It's like tearing something.
So, yeah. No, I'm just trying to think. Okay, so someone that is on the grass a lot, I'm assuming.
So I'm going to ask you age group.
An age group. I would say like 30-year-olds? I don't know.
See, that would be my assumption. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like 25 to 35 group, right? It's actually 11 to 14-year-old girl soccer players.
Oh,
it's the number one group. And then number two is the boy male soccer players in that same age group, maybe a little older, and they think it's because having to do with hormones as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, then you look, it's pretty much all the sports on grass are the worst. So the players that spend the most time on grass, because it's all treated with glyphosate and other environmental toxins, and that's loosening their ligaments, then they're tearing them. They're having these quote unquote non-contact sports injuries. Pretty wild if you think about it.
That is, and thank you for sharing that with me. That is devastating for so many reasons, and also just because I don't know. I actually wanted to be a vet in a previous life, and I'm too close to animals that I don't know if emotionally I'm strong enough to see a dog that was hit by a car. I'm just not. And a human hit by a car I could deal with. A dog, I know, and a dog getting hit by a car I cannot. And they're just these sweet little baby angels that are walking around without shoes on, and they're being exposed to everything on the earth. Of course, they're super exposed to things in the grass, all the pesticides, herbicides, bullshit that is in there. And I am not a vet. But I will say that I'm a dog lover. And there's an epidemic of dog allergies. There's an epidemic of itchy dogs that are put on drugs like Cytopoint or put on drugs like steroids every day to control this inflammation, but it is absolutely due to their exposures, their environment. And let me just tell a sweet story about my firstborn, Casey, who's 16 and a half. She is my soulmate. Everyone knows this, but she is a healthy girl. But when I was living in a house that I didn't know had mold in it, she started peeing out blood. And it would happen all the time. And I look at everything that comes out of my body. I look at everything that comes out of my baby's bodies. Yeah. So I would see it come out. She would have these clots too. It was really intense. I took her to the vet. The vet, without even testing her, said she probably has bladder cancer. Let's talk about putting her down. She was like 12 at the time.
Oh my God.
Which is devastating to me. And I ended up not giving her antibiotics. Because she didn't have a UTI. They tested her, she didn't have a UTI. So I gave her a bunch of herbs for her kidneys and for her bladder and just, things that in naturopathic medicine I would use on a human if they had an inflammatory bladder condition. And it turns out that the mold was impacting her bladder. My other dog, who's a little bit younger, she was having incontinence and she would just pee. Wow. And these are very common mold symptoms. Yeah. So I actually, when I realized that I was exposed to mold, of course my sweet baby angels were exposed to mold, I started giving them the same things that I was taking and we all got better. My dog has never peed out blood since. Not once. My other dog hasn't peed in her pants since.
I love that. I love that story because that's how I am with my animals. I have a 50-pound German Shepherd now.
What's her name?
And her name is Leela.
Leela, we love her. That means play. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. And she's the runt. So runts always typically have health issues. And so when I first got her, she had a lot of little issues, right? Even though I fed her really well. So she's became my CellCore experiment dog. So for the last 2.5 years, she's been on CellCore, and pretty much everything's cleared up. Quote unquote, you're not supposed to give certain herbs to your animals, and that's true. You need to be careful, and we always say consult your vet before doing that, just because that's safe. Yeah.
Let me just pause and say that no vet is going to know anything about herbs unless you go to a holistic vet. And from my experience in going to a holistic vet, every herb that you can use in a human for X condition can be used in a dog for Y condition. Same thing. So I just want to touch on that for the listeners. Yeah.
And on that note, a lot of even holistic vets will say, well, stay away from black walnut hull because some of our products that are anti-parasitic specifically have that in them. And I have found through friends, family, and tons of practitioners that use it that they have not had a problem using that. And in fact, it's very effective because, again, our products can go intercellular. And so we can attach it to these herbs, and so we can get a better absorption rate, right? And we can get herbs into places where they normally can't go, like brain, for brain parasites, which is always fun to think about.
Always fun, yeah, always fun to think about.
But now we think of our animals, and now we're able to treat them. Just because you're seeing parasites come out of them, doesn't mean it's just starting, right?
Yeah.
We know that this is probably now their body's on overload. So you probably need to do a much longer, deeper cleanse once they get to that level. But when it comes to just all around health, I don't believe there's a better product out there besides ours for your animals.
I honestly agree.
And I saw it firsthand. So a friend of mine, her dog was a 12-year-old lab with all those cancerous growths all over. He was kind of on his last leg. And he wasn't able to stand up. He was having a lot of trouble standing up. And so I go, well, do you mind if I do something with them? Like, because your vet's not going to tell you this, but let's put them on these supplements. So I just started working for the company. I'd been there about six months, and I just started loading them up.
What'd you give them?
I gave them HMET, which is our binder for heavy metals, glyphosate, because I figured he's got tons of glyphosate and all that all these years. Then I gave him the equivalent of this, our old version of it, the BCATP. So this stuff is amazing. It upregulates cellular and mitochondrial function. And let me think. And I gave him some antiparasitics. The vet originally said he probably has weeks left at that time because he was having trouble getting up. Within 3 to 4 weeks, he was playing with my dog.
Oh, Damon, I could cry.
Yeah, he ended up living 7 months longer, which was much longer than we would have expected.
Yeah.
But it's just, at that point, I was like completely sold on CellCore with animals.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm going to put every animal I know on this. Let's save the world.
Yes. Yes. And it's
Save the
honestly, it's easy. You just open the capsules, you sprinkle it in their food. Your dog's going to eat the food.
Yeah.
They're hungry. They're a dog.
Yeah, and even with the antiparasitics, you should give them on an empty stomach. But if you can't, that doesn't mean you just skip it. You give it to them in their food. They're still gonna. They work better on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you have to worry about that. I use like coconut oil, so I'll give the antiparasitics. My dog will eat anything if I just. I can even do like fake treats.
Really?
Yeah. So she'll just I'll take
Silly
it.
Lila. Yeah, my dogs, I would have to trick them a little more, wrap it in like some cheese maybe.
Yeah.
Coconut oil wouldn't do it.
And that's a way you can do it too, just to get it in them.
Yeah. So what are some fun stuff you've seen come out of humans, out of dogs, out of any creature really?
So
Let's gross them out. Let's gross them out a little bit.
So my dog is thrown up 2 large. We don't know what they were. I showed you pictures of it.
Yep. Yes, he did.
And she didn't. I think she pooped out a couple things, but specifically threw up to like went and ate grass the first time. I was like, "Why are you eating grass? Is your stomach's unsettled?" Walked inside and threw up this big, long, like 8-9 inch thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
So
My dog, who might be part wolf, I don't know, but she threw up something that it looked like a braided piece of rope, but it wasn't. And it was maybe this long. It was so long. I was so disturbed, but so happy at the same time, similar to when I pass parasites. Partially disturbed, partially excited. But her skin fully cleared after that.
Yeah, you see that a lot, right? It's amazing how many skin issues are linked, like everything from acne to like eczema is linked to parasites.
Yeah. Yes.
Your doctor will never tell you that.
No.
Or your allopathic.
Yeah.
This doctor will.
I will. Let's deworm ya.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So many thoughts around that. I could go in a few different directions, but I'm going to go in this direction.
Okay.
What orifices have you seen parasites come out of bodies before?
Okay, so obviously people poop them out all the time. That's the most common. But I've seen a video of a teenage girl pulling a parasite out of her nose. And that was without even doing nasal rinse. So you can nasal rinse. I caution it because we have a product called Para 3, and you can put a drop to 6 drops in a
Neti pot.
and go ahead and do that. But it feels like, have you done it?
Oh, I do it every day.
It burns. Like you have to.
I'm crazy, but
so
yeah, it does
you're
burn.
used to it?
Yeah.
So the first time
Like
you do
wasabi.
well, worse than that, I think. Hornets on the brain is a great way to
Oh, I never felt the hornets on the brain.
I mean, it's pretty intense your very first time. So I warn people out there, like if you're just gonna jump in, start with 1 drop, obviously. But you do that 30 days. So the rinse we recommend is a 30-day rinse. You do it once with the neti pot with the para, and then you follow that 15 minutes later with a saline rinse. And if you do that for 30 days, I had so much weird stuff come out of my nose, you know, and I'm a little stuffed up now, but I actually had my right side clear up for the first time in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Where I was able to breathe out of my right side.
Phenomenal.
After having a diving accident. So, I had a perforated eardrum. So, yeah, I just had like, it looked like sand. Like, and maybe it was sand, but like I hadn't been to the ocean in years or swimming in years at that point. And so very wild, but you'll see some weird stuff. The Para 3 is a very good product for that. And if we ever bring back our hydroxygen, which was another product that was really good to put in the nose, but we also have carboxy if you want to go the binder route.
Yeah. I've actually never put the carboxy in there in my neti pot.
Yeah, it's kind of a pain because it's dirty. It's a messy.
It's messy. And I'm messy, so it would just be hard for me.
Yeah, but people swear by it. So I haven't personally done it either. It's probably one of the only things I haven't done.
Yeah.
Well, besides the coffee enema.
Oh, you haven't done a coffee enema?
No, I haven't done the enema
Damon,
part.
It's time. It's time. It's amazing. Some people just pass parasites just from the coffee
That's what
itself.
I heard too.
And I will have patients that I send for colonics who they're not on any anti-parasitic herbs. I'm just on drainage at that point and helping to, these are my constipated humans. I said they won't do enemas or, whatever. And I send them to get a colonic and they can pass them just on that alone.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have heard that. Specifically adding a little bit of our Tudka product to the colonic apparently is.
The last time I went for a colonic, I took like 4 advanced Tudkas before.
Oh my
Some
God.
lymphatic. See, I go hard. I don't know why I do this. And it's a drainer, right? So as bile drains into your small intestine, you get really nauseous. And I was just sitting on this table, laying on the table because that's how you get a colonic, just trying not to vomit. But the things that came out of my body that round, because there are parasites that can sit, as you know, liver flukes. They can sit in the space between your liver and your gallbladder and how it drains. So some people that are having liver issues or issues with draining that pathway could be because there's a fluke in there.
That's so wild, right?
And it looks like a little tomato skin. That's what it looks like to me, at least, and to my patients. And just to circle back to when I was saying the orifices that things have come out, just so my humans know this, I have seen so many humans where parasites have come out in their menstrual blood.
That's wild.
I've seen it come out around ovulation. If they ovulate around the full moon, they could pass a worm around
Interesting.
them. I have also seen it come out in the urine.
Yes.
Yes.
And we've discussed that before.
Yes, we have. And I think some of my listeners go, oh no, I Googled that. That's just a rope worm. That's not real. You're all crazy.
We hear that all the time.
Can we touch on that a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah, that's a good point. First off, and let's talk about testing, right? So the best test one of the tests we recommend is Vibrant America. We believe in that company, and not,
Me too.
we don't get anything from them by recommending them, but they have their test. I believe their parasite test is one of the best out there. Period.
Yeah.
And it's 31 parasites. Is it? Or
There's
is it
a
28?
lot. There's a lot on there. Please, I'll get my 2 cents on it.
which is great, right? That's a lot because most of them I think are like 9 or 12 or something like that.
Barely.
But there's over 200 parasites, so you're still not getting. So when you'll probably want to touch on this, why? Well, I come to you. Well, I got tested for parasites. It came back negative. What would you tell me?
This is what I would tell you. I would say you pooped into a cup. The cup, for the lab tech to say, they're usually looking for ova, which are the eggs, and parasites, so microscopic at this point. So they take a tiny little spoon, a little poop spoon, and they take that and they look at it under a microscope. And if there's not any eggs or parasites in that tiny sample, then they'll say it's negative. And you can order a CSA times 3, which is a comprehensive stool analysis 3, which means that they take 3 little scoopulas with the spoon. And if it's not on there, then they go, oh, we tested you in depth. You don't have a parasite. But I will also say that I love Vibrant. Huge fan of Vibrant. I have found a lot of intracellular microscopic parasites, but I have yet to have a test that has shown me just from a stool sample that someone has a macroscopic big daddy parasite, and that's usually what comes out.
Yeah.
And it's because also if you're not killing them, they're happy in your body. They're not necessarily shedding in
they don't
these
want
huge
you dead.
amounts. No, they want to keep you alive. They want to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to make babies, let their babies hatch on your butt.
Side note,
Please.
not the hatching on the butt, but there's an article. I don't know if you read this. The oldest living thing, I guess you would say, it was I believe it was 60,000 years old. They tested this. It was a frozen, basically parasite. It was a worm, a frozen worm that they brought back to life. You can Google it.
You brought it back
They
to
brought
life.
it back to life after like 30 or 60,000 years. Just Google like the oldest living thing,
That is
and it was a worm. Which now I go, well, those things live in your body,
Yes.
so
they do.
so they know how to survive. So just because your sushi was frozen before you eat it, and I love sushis, and
Same.
but just because it was flash frozen doesn't you just flash froze them and then they happily came back to life after you thought it
Yeah.
out, right?
I saw this disgusting Instagram meme of this fisherman who caught a fish, and he's like, oh yeah, you guys are scared of parasites, you could just eat them. And he took a live worm out of a fish,
Oh my gosh.
swallowed it. And I was thinking, you are so dumb, sir. Of course you can eat it.
Yeah.
Of course you can eat it, because they're in so many things. They're in pork. I love bacon. They're in a lot. They're in soil, so they're on organic vegetables. You know, it's abundant in our environment, but you don't want to go after them and eat them
Yeah.
because the symptoms are subtle. You're not going to immediately get sick, but as we've been talking about this whole beautiful discussion, it's the impacts that it's having on your immune system, on your inflammation, on your cellular drainage, your full body drainage, and I would highly advise against choosing to eat a worm at this stage of life.
Now let's talk about why we don't find them when we send in a sample of a quote unquote pathogen or parasite, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most people don't know this, but they actually secrete when they die an enzyme that breaks them down.
They're so smart.
So they are, yeah, right? And so even though you say, well, I pulled this out of my body and I sent it in, it tested negative for parasites, doesn't mean it still wasn't a parasite. Look at it under a microscope.
Yeah.
What we found is our scientist, he could actually see the head, and he's taking pictures and stuff of this, of a sample that they took it, knew it was a parasite beforehand, but you showed all the pictures of it, blah, 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 sent in the samples, and they came back negative.
Yeah. I have a patient that I know is going to watch this because she's so cool. And her father is a vet. And she has vomited out parasites. She shit them out. They've come out of every orifice of her body. Her doctor said that they were not parasites. She even sent them to a lab. The lab said that they were not parasites. She had her dad look at them under a microscope. She just gives samples to her dads on the regular. And he looks at them, and there's always parasites
Yes.
there. So I don't think that you can deny that if you pass something that looks like a worm, that it's probably a worm. And if not, at the least, it could be
Biofilm.
biofilm. And what lives in biofilms? Everything that you don't want in
Bacteria.
your body.
Everything, pathogens,
Yeah.
toxins,
Yep.
just like a parasite, right?
Exactly.
So better out than in.
Better out in.
That's what Shrek says. If you
Oh.
remember Shrek, better out than in.
Oh, when he farted.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I can't believe I actually remember that. I did. Wow. Wow. So just so my listeners know, what are some of your favorite CellCore products? Even though I think it would probably be hard to.
Oh yeah.
list just a couple of them.
BCATP
You know,
is
since I just
100%.
messed up on my words, let me take some.
Okay.
Let's see what this does to me.
So just to kind of give you the 30,000 foot view of what this is. If your listeners know anything about mitochondria, they probably know that it's the powerhouse of the cell, right? And the more important the organ is, the more mitochondria per cell it has. Well, what's the most important organ?
The brain.
Exactly. So in your brain, you have parts of your brain that have millions of mitochondria per cell. Compare that to your skin, which has hundreds.
Even your heart.
Yeah, your heart has 2,000, which is a lot. I believe it's 2,000, which is a lot per cell. But if you were to have a product that could upregulate that mitochondria function, take it out of the cell danger response, do you think that would be beneficial for your brain and your heart and your other organs?
I do.
And that's just what you took. So what we've seen on this, so there's a company called BrainTap. I don't know.
Yes.
You're familiar with
I
it.
love him.
So what's the founder's name?
I can't remember. I can envision what he looks like. I met him at a neurology conference and we
Yes.
just hit it off.
Oh, he's a great guy. And I remember I went up to him at a conference. This was about a year and a half ago. And I said, hey, I'm with CellCore. And he goes, oh, we love CellCore. And I'm like, you know about CellCore? I mean, we're a new company. So that's your listeners might not know. We've only been around 5 years. We've been the fastest growing company every year since
Oh my
we
goodness.
started in the industry. It's because of word of mouth, right?
And because it works.
It works. That's why.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why we get the word of mouth we do. Well, he knew all about us because he's like, oh yeah, I hear all about your products and I see the results using the BrainTap, which is a brain scan. So he did a brain scan on me. Now, the first part that I thought was kind of like, oh, this is BS. They do your biological age. Have you done your biological age?
Yes.
So my biological age, now I've been on CellCore at this point a year and a half. My biological age was 15 years younger than me. And I thought, oh, he's just shining me on, right? Then I had other practitioners coming up to me because it was a practitioner conference and they were like, oh, my biological age was 3 years higher than my actual age. And I'm like, is there really something to this?
Yeah.
So what was interesting, he says, I can't believe how good he's like, you're phenomenal. Your biological age is an A+. But I said, well, what I want to do is I want to test the BCATP specifically. I want you to do brain scans on me. So I haven't taken any BCATP today. It was in the morning. So I took it in the afternoon the day before. So can we check it out? And he goes, okay. So the before scans, he's like, again, your biological age, A+, you're doing really well. You're not going to have any improvement in that. We can see your brain scan, all this. We come back about 45 minutes, an hour later, and he was like, wow, like your biological age went down by another year, which
Whoa.
he says, I did not expect that. I've never seen that. There's nothing out there that I could see could affect you in that way because you're already so low. But on top of that, the brain lights up. You can see the before and after, all your delta, gamma, beta waves. Do I have them all right?
Yeah.
All those kind of went from like some on me, probably a lot more firing less than others, but they all started firing and you could see like even like your delta waves. So he's like, well, delta waves, are when you're sleeping, but you can use them for creativity and different things like that. Well, here's an interesting point. I specifically noticed this when I started taking this product. So I was taking the precursor product to this, ordering it full price from my doctor at the time because I wanted to try it. And it was just used to come in a powder like Boxy. And my boss, who is our founder's brother, is like, and he's pretty high strung. He's like, don't take it at night, man. I can't sleep on this stuff. It's giving me so much energy. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to take it at night. So I just took it in the morning every day. And I took it for months. And then this came out and we did the kind of our launch on it. And we talked a lot about how we've seen clinically it helps people sleep because the mitochondria are really important to help you sleep, right? So I'm like, oh, I'm going to track it with my watch, my sleep tracker. See how it affects my sleep. I want to start taking it at night, but I'm afraid it's going to keep me up.
Yeah.
It didn't. I actually slept better.
Wow.
But here's the crazy thing. For the first time in 15 years, I had my first dream that I remembered, right?
It's exciting.
Dream recall. I have not stopped having dream recall since the very first day that I actually started taking this at night.
Look at that healthy brain.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? And that it means you're getting in deeper sleep, better REM. So for those that aren't having their dream recall, it's that's one of the things you'll probably notice, especially if you take a lot at night.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's placebo effect since I just swallowed those, but I feel like everything's brighter in the room. Does that happen to you when you take it?
Okay,
I feel like I can see better.
So the problem with me is I'm on like 8 to 10 a day.
Okay.
The recommended dose is 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening. I take about 6 to 8 in the morning and then 2 at night. I still
My
only take
favorite.
like 2.
I like how hard you go, Damon.
Okay, so you want to talk about some off-label uses?
Of course I do.
Okay, if you drink You
You consume poison.
if you consume poison and you have a few too many drinks, this is great to take before and after. Put it on your nightstand. The other product that's really good is the HMET, which stands for heavy metal environmental toxins, which you're putting in your body when you drink. So that would be a good one. But you'll notice that in the morning. This is really good for migraines. We can't really say you can replace your ADHD medication, but we've seen people stop taking their ADHD, specifically children, after being on this for a little while, because it really increased that mental focus and clarity, natural energy, not the caffeine type energy.
No.
It's not the jitters. You just have that natural, like you feel good, like we
Clarity.
do now.
We feel great.
Yeah, we feel great.
Yeah.
And so this is, and Dr. Todd said it, which I didn't know this just recently, about 3 months ago. It's been out about 8-9 months, maybe a year. I guess it's been a year now. He said it's our #1 immune booster. And it still has the humic and fulvic polyelectrolytes, polysaccharides. So just to get nerdy real quick, the humics and fulvics, if you buy a humic and fulvic product, basically
Like Shilajit.
yes, any company can claim they have fulvics if they have humics because they're actually bound together. Unless you're separating them in the lab, they're always bound together. The humics are the long chains, so think bigger. Fulvics are the naturally nano-sized, so where do they go? They can cross the blood-brain barrier. So this is a stronger fulvic product because it's got more of the nano size, so it can go systemic throughout the body, right? So that's specifically why this product works very well as a binder as well. So what people don't realize is when we call our binders, they're not just binders. It's not like activated charcoal, which is it's like racing an old 1940s truck against an Indy Formula One car, right?
I'll pretend I know what those are. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Or
They know. Yeah. They probably know. Yeah.
it's night and day difference, right? So when you're talking activated charcoal, it doesn't have any energy behind it. It's not naturally nano-sized. It binds to everything. But our binders do more than just bind. They actually repair, restore, and they're full of vitamins and minerals. Well, that being said, this is a fulvic product, so it naturally will bind to toxins within the mitochondria as well. So it's detoxing you as well. So that's why it's an all-around great product. Probably if I could pick one product, it would be that.
Cool. I so appreciate all that insight because to be honest, I've done the whole comprehensive protocol.
Nice.
I did right when I first started.
Everyone should. Well,
Yeah.
now everyone doesn't need the comprehensive, but
Yeah.
a 4-month detox, I don't care if you're an elite athlete.
Yeah, it's gonna help.
Or and we have a lot of pro athletes that take this as well as other stuff. Or if you're battling cancer, it's going to help you.
Yeah, I agree. And that is one that I'm going to be buying today. But I think one of my favorite products from CellCore is Carboxy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, Carbox is very strong too.
Yeah.
Should we tell them our stories?
Yeah, let's say some stories. Would you like me to tell my story first?
go
Okay,
for it.
so I'm competitive. It's a thing. It's a thing. We were on a call. I don't remember what the call was about. Just something about CellCore. Who knows? And we were talking about taking Carboxy. And little did I know that I was actually living in a moldy house then. I didn't know that that was the moldy house. I
didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah, I remember where I was sitting on the couch. I remember almost vomiting. Anyway, we're on this call and you told me how many scoops of Carboxy that you take a day. And I am competitive. So I think you said something, I don't even know. You said like 5 scoops or something unbelievable.
This, just to kind of rewind.
Yeah.
Our Carboxy comes in half the size it used to come in.
Yeah. It's a little
Right.
canister, black powder.
And we did that for cost for the patient, right? Because we're like, this big can is so expensive. It's our most expensive product to make. So the scooper used to be bigger. It used to be double what it is now.
Oh, no.
top of it.
I remember this now.
So
it was a bigger scooper.
Yeah, and I was taking. So just to kind of clarify to your listeners, we get free product, but we only get so many a month.
Yeah.
And I decided to take all mine in Carboxy because Carboxy is the best product in my opinion, the easiest product and the best. It's just a pure humic and fulvics for animals. So I was giving it to my dog. It's easy to sprinkle on the food, blah blah blah. So I'm like, I'll just take my product in Carboxy this month.
Yeah.
So I get these 5 containers and I'm like, and it used to go a long way because I didn't give my dog's 50 pounds. So I'd give her like, you know, an eighth of a scoop, or, I mean, I worked her up to a little higher than that because, I mean, if I can take it, my dog can take it. That's not how we need to watch symptoms on your dog. If they're itching and miserable, do not let them go through. But so I'm like, okay, I have all these containers and I'm taking other stuff anyway as well, but I'm just going to try. So I heard this from a scientist so I'll give you the backstory. So,
Please.
you know, one of the scientists that's a CellCore, I think he's from Germany or something. He's a CellCore practitioner. He was like studying the cells under microscope and doing fasting and different stuff. And he started doing high levels of carboxy, and he saw like his body, the way the body was reacting. The cells were reacting with carboxy. And he's like, he was just talking about all the science terms. So over my head, but I was like, oh, wow, obviously this interacting at the cellular level in he's like, I've never seen anything like this. It's amazing. And so I'm like, okay, so more is better, right?
Yeah.
So again, so your listeners know, the studies that have been done on lab rats on PubMed using humic and fulvic acids shows that they can take like, I think it's 5 bottles of HMET a day, equivalent to us, for 60 days with 0 issues, right? So, I mean, it's from the earth. It's like eating a superfood. So you can't take too much. So knowing this, I'm like, I'm going to take 5 of these scooperfuls
It was
a day.
5. Yeah.
Yeah, it was 5. And so it would be 10 today.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
so to put it in perspective, and I'd take the 5, and after, I didn't realize it, but I was starting to have like itchy skin. Like I would always get when I eat, again, gluten, right? My right or left arm right here would itch. I'd just be like, and then I'd get red in the face. I didn't get red in the face, but I'd be itching here. I'm like, oh, did I have gluten? Is that what it is? You know, oh, maybe I had a beer the other day, so maybe that's it. And then I wasn't putting 2 and 2 together, that I was taking this high level, and I just kept doing it. And then I was like, well, I haven't had gluten in a while, but now, you know, I'm still itching. I was doing this twice a day, 5 scoops twice a day. And
Sent it.
so, yeah, I started having these little issues. Obviously, I've been taking CellCore a long time, so that's the reason why I wasn't miserable. Because normally you'd be miserable with this. Now your story, I tell you this, and what do you do? And you'd been on CellCore as well.
I had already done the comprehensive at that point.
So this is not recommended for anyone.
No, don't do this. Don't do this.
Not listen. And it's expensive anyway.
It's very expensive. So I then did the 5 scoops while we were on the call. I had to mute it because I thought I was going to throw up, and I don't throw up. That's just not something that happens to me. And Tori, who was also on the call with us, she texted me being like, are you taking a shit or something? Like, why are you not speaking? And I'm like, Tori, I'm trying not to vomit. But it's strong.
Yes.
It is strong,
Very
but
strong.
I also love it for its strength. I love its ability. It was a game changer for me with mold. I think if I didn't start to take that while I was living in the moldy house, because I didn't know I was exposed to mold then, I think I would have gotten sicker and sicker and sicker. I love how easy it is to give to my pets. That's one that definitely helped them, giving them little scoops.
Yeah,
But it's
if you
strong.
could only take 2 products, I would say this and carboxy. The only other one I'd recommend is probably, so all of our binders will bind to all the bad stuff, all of them, naturally. But we formulate ones to target certain areas. So like our HMET is really good for heavy metal, environmental toxins, glyphosate.
Yeah.
Specifically, that was made. The gentleman that's been studying glyphosate since 1975 and sounding the alarm that obviously no one listened to, probably because of this.
Of course.
But his name is Dr. Don Huber. He actually worked with our original lead scientist, which is Tim's father.
Oh, wow.
So Tim's father, he used to work for a pharmaceutical company, and he would ask, well, why do we always bind these pharmaceutical drugs to salt and not carbons?
Yeah.
And his boss looked him in the eye and said, don't ask that question if you want to stay in this industry.
Interesting.
And he
response,
thought,
sir.
well, obviously what he's learned is carbons are life-giving. And
Why would we want to give life?
Exactly. So he left that industry, but at one time he was tagged by the WHO
Perfect.
as the leading voice for humic and fulvic acids, the leading scientist. So he came out of that field, and he's like, I didn't know why they kept shelving all the research I did on humic and fulvics, because they couldn't synthesize it. They said, figure out how to make this synthetic and we'll use it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't, because they wanted to put their trademark on it and make money. But so he left that industry, and thankfully ended up teaming up with Don Huber, and they created HMET to remove glyphosate. And here's a side note: they did a study. Actually, when our founder first got involved, they did a study with I think it was the Amish.
Yeah, whatever. Potato.
So they had 30 couples that weren't getting pregnant.
Yes. I remember this study.
So they put them just on HMET. Now, HMET, I do not recommend either alone, because it's a very powerful product, and you can have a lot of reaction if you're not doing, again, right product at the right time.
Yeah,
right?
drainage.
Drainage. But they put them on it because they couldn't get pregnant, and obviously it was because there's a toxin in where they lived.
Yeah.
We know that now.
Yeah.
And it was probably glyphosate. So they saw 29 of the 30 couples get pregnant within 6 months or something. It was a really short amount of time. So
that's incredible.
That it is.
It is. And I work with a lot of families on preconception. I work with men and women. I look at, usually it's the woman that comes to me, and then we realize that the man is also quite sick, and we look at his semen, and there's nothing swimming in there, or, whatever. And that is now just because I've seen such a significant shift with my patient population on it. Even irregular menstrual cycles, or if they're not ovulating or whatever, I always at some point will layer that in to their protocol.
And carboxy is great too. So not to discount carboxy, that's why I said if you have to pick 2 products, you can only afford 2, I'd be on carboxy and BCATP. I might even say, if money's an issue, I would even probably go with maybe the Virad Chem, because it's our all-around binder. It has all the binders in there. But you should rotate binders. It's just good to do, because a couple of our binders have herbs in them, where the carboxy doesn't. It's just pure. It's like very concentrated main binder. So that's great that it's your favorite product, because I think those 2. Yeah. And when we didn't plan this.
No,
it's
we
not
didn't
even
plan
like
this at
we
all.
were planning.
No, we didn't. We planned nothing, by the way. Yeah.
If you were to take 2 products, if you could only afford 2 products, I would recommend at least going through the foundational protocol. That's your easy button. It's going to going to address all toxins. I won't say it will clear them all, because sometimes it takes longer, but the 4-month protocol is going to help anyone, and it's going to open up that drainage and get you on the right pathway. So after 4 months, if you still have issues, that's when you can dive deeper. Otherwise, you can, just take your carboxy and your BC and stay on that. Yeah. And do a para-cleanse once a year, because you've already been on the CellCore products. You'll be able to just jump into a para-cleanse rather than you should do the drainage in that para-cleanse.
Yeah. Agreed, my friend. Well, this has been a phenomenal conversation.
Yeah, it's been fun.
I am so happy that we went in all the directions that we went in, and I will definitely end it with letting my listeners know how they can get all these incredible products. But before we get there, all of my guests, before we sign off, I like to give them the stage to share anything with my listeners. Knowledge bomb, truth bomb, love bomb, anything that you want these incredible humans to know.
Well, a few different things, or a couple different things I would actually say is what I said this to you before. What's the most expensive supplement you can take? I like to ask people that, and they're like thinking, oh, well, this one's expensive. Well, it's actually the supplement that doesn't work, right? And that's most of us. We're peeing out our money. We take these basketfuls, and I was one of them, right?
Same.
Take a basket full of these supplements. And what our founder says he's seen clinically, he has a big clinic, and he's had a lot of success with the CellCore products, is 85% need for supplementation is removed when the body's functioning correctly. And we've even seen that with my nephew. He is very regimented, and he took he introduced CellCore without changing anything, and he had very low vitamin levels. Well, why did he have low vitamin levels? It wasn't because he wasn't taking his vitamins. It was because his body wasn't processing it. So we saw all of his vitamin levels increase, not even changing anything, just because he was absorbing more from his food. So I would say that, and put your dogs on CellCore and cats.
All the animals.
And if you have a pet pig, why not?
Why not?
Or a bunny.
Cute.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. I want everyone that is interested in trying these products to have access to trying them. And they are, of course, powerful. So it's important that you have a practitioner on hand that you can refer to and ask questions to. And guess what? You know one. That is me. So if you are interested in checking out these products, go to cellcore.com. I'll have all of this below so that you can click on it. Cellcore.com. I have my own little code that you can do to register. I will also include that on there so that you can try all this stuff out, because it has changed my life. It has changed my patient's life. And that is truly why I have you here, because I only want people to sit in this chair that I fully believe in and that I know are invested in health for the right reasons and who are truthful and authentic. And you and CellCore are all of those things. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, friends, thanks for tuning in. And please send me pictures of what you pee, poop out, what comes out of your nose, what comes out of your dogs. Send them to me because I want to see them. Toodaloo.